Abusive, incompetent, misogynistic boss gets karma. About 10 years ago, our section got a new supervisor, affectionately known as Boss Baby, Captain Ahab or Lieutenant Dyke, named for the character on Band of Brothers who hid all the time. He was a kid who was some favorite of a higher-up and had no real practical experience, but always talked like he did. He would proudly proclaim that he would be the youngest executive in org history. The section was a senior, high-performing group with decades of cumulative experience. It was my way or the highway with him right off the bat. He would make dramatic, sweeping decisions on things that he had no experience in and was determined to destroy any malcontents. Right away, he had it out for a friend of mine who was the highest performer in the section. By metrics alone, she outperformed the rest of the section combined. She had to be put in her place, he said once. She's too outspoken, was another one. But then, he falsified documents, and during a meeting, she gently told him that such a thing was unethical and that it should be changed back. It became open season on her. He set off on a campaign to undermine and destroy her. He arbitrarily downgraded her performance, randomly shifted her schedule and workload to cause damage to her work product, and set about trying to isolate her from the rest of the section. Screaming at and berating her in public became the norm, to where it was the talk of the section. No matter how hard she worked or how much success she had, it was never enough. While many of the rest of the section went home at 3 p.m., played board games or watched TV, it became like spousal abuse, where she became hypervigilant and he would scream that he didn't want her on the section but would refuse all attempts by her to transfer. It was an "if I can't have you, nobody will." He was known as Captain Ahab because of his obsession to destroy her. We labeled our section the Pequod. Whenever we saw him, we'd quote Moby Dick, "From hell's heart I stab at thee." The section was already in free fall with morale disintegrating by the day. Like Ahab, he would have sunk his own ship and drowned his own crew to get the whale. Wrong is wrong, so I wrote it up. Notified EEO and met with his boss, telling him about the whole mess from the falsifying documentation on. Thankfully, my friend kept meticulous notes and documentation. She met with that man after, and she was transferred. Then, he came after me. I sent that back upstairs and I was transferred. Then, he went into hermit mode and hid in his office, locking the door and closing the shades. He reorganized the section to get rid of any senior personnel and only have newly recruited people so he would be all-knowing and all-seeing. Productivity collapsed and the work product was frequently inept. To resurrect his falling star, he stole a large project away from a different branch office and assigned it to his favorite newbie. The newbie destroyed it, but Boss Baby signed off on everything. Everyone who was left in the section was either too new or too afraid to say anything to stop the disaster. Somehow, a few of us who experienced Boss Baby got wind of it, and somehow, it got to the IG for the org. The final collapse was swift and decisive. He was removed from the managerial program, demoted and shipped to a remote office. This effectively kneecaps his career, and he will never climb the ladder again. Had he locked himself in his office on day one and not come out, he would have been far more successful and probably have gotten that cherished executive job.